Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast. My name is Melissa, and this is Sammi. We are diving deep into conversations that connect and inspire. Stories of resilience, triumph, and transformation. Stories that take us to the heart of human connection. Please note that opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect those of this podcast. Please listen with your kindness and an open mind. Each story shared is authentic and vulnerable. Let's embrace our differences with empathy, knowing every voice enriches us. Together, let's cultivate a community of respect and curiosity. Thank you for listening. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast today. Today it is Melissa and I here with my friend Karla Turner. Karla and I went to high school together and it's kind of been off and on, not like never off, just like more in connection, not in connection, since high school. And I know Karla's got a really incredible journey. Karla runs her own podcast called The Answer is Elephant, which I love that name, which I'm going to get her to talk about later because I know that I asked her once about why it's called that. Anyways, but she's gone on this whole wellness journey in so many different facets of her life, and it's really beautiful to hear about. And when I was on her podcast, I remember her chatting about it, and I really wanted to ask her all these questions, but it was her podcast on me, so I didn't. And so today we're gonna do that. And so welcome to the podcast, Karla.
Hi. Hello, and thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited. I have been looking forward to this all day.
Oh, really? Oh, well, we're very excited to have you. So that's really wonderful.
Thank you so much. I was actually just looking because I was like, oh, I should have been professional and known the episode number. Okay, Sammi was on episode 22 of my podcast. So just right now, we'll have that information out there. So if anyone wants to go and learn more about Sammi.
I thought you were like wondering what episode you're going to be of ours. And I was like, I don't even know what that is yet, Karla. Like, can I help you?
Yes, please tell me that information right now as we're recording.
No idea. All right. There are episode 22 on The Answer is Elephant.
Yeah. I'm super excited to be here. And I'm really excited to see where this conversation leads us.
I was going to say, I'm just noticing in the background right now that you have St. Patrick's Day stickers up on your window. And I have very vivid memories of drinking green beer with Karla on St. Patrick's Day. Yes. I don't remember where we were, but I remember drinking green beers with you for my first time on St. Patrick's Day somewhere. Don't know where it was. You might not remember either, and that's okay. But it's just funny because that's what was in my head.
Honestly, Getters.
It might have been. It might have been.
Or the Heritage. But anyway, that's for
another day. Since then, as I mentioned, Karla has started a wellness journey. So, Karla, obviously that's probably a poor way of saying that. Let me rephrase that. Karla, where did your wellness journey begin for you? What was the catalyst that kind of started that for you, and where did you start?
Yeah. Well, of course, the rabbit hole could start, many years ago, because there's stepping stones that fall into places when you don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. So of course, every time I think I know where that starting place was, I come for a new revelation, and I go, oh, actually, it was a few years before with this big thing that turned me in that direction. So it's always a journey of, I find, for people's wellness of their starting paths. And so in this moment, I'll say, because I've answered this question in so many different ways, and that's why I answer this question in so many different ways when I answer this question, is because I think we can answer that question in a different way depending on where we're sitting. And it was beautiful as I was sitting down and kind of have a meditation and some story work to come on here before a day or so ago before we came on here, and really just kind of working on what I was expressing and what I was wanting to work with my, what I was working out at that time and stuff. It came back to, I love how this is your first question, because it came back to actually a night that I was drugged in a bar. And and you're both looking at me like, Everything was fine. I had beautiful friends that were taking care of me. I didn't actually finish the whole drink, so I was mostly just not me, making really poor decisions that were not of sound in mind and body, and very much, yeah. So, and later on, found out that there was quite a few women that night that were drugged. So, with that night, sorry,
that same night,
yeah, there was like 4 women in the same bar. Yeah. So whoever it was, I'm not sure. We never heard if anyone actually got assaulted in any way. As far as we heard from the women that we had contacted in the bar that night, everyone went home at least safe with lessons. So we will be grateful for that, you know? And I learned so many lessons in that. And I've always been so grateful for the friends that I had in that moment, my tribe in that moment, that kind of saw that something just wasn't right and just said, okay, let's go home. Like, let's get her home. Something's not right. And it was perfect for that.
Yeah.
I'm reacting because Sammi, do you know the story, Sammi? Do you know my story?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just reacting because that happened to me once in college. Mm-hmm. I've never actually talked to anybody else who has had that experience. And that's why my jaw went like, oh my gosh, you do?
It happened to me too. I never told you. You know.
No.
Yes.
Oh, you did, kind of. You did. And then
I was
kind of sidetracked, and I don't know if we talked about the entire thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah.
That's Karla's story.
It's a very real thing. And actually, I don't know if I've come out publicly with it myself. So I love the universe that it's come to that. Yeah, I was always very grateful because nothing, like I say, I was brought home safe. Mm-hmm. And there was so many beautiful lessons. So for anyone who listening out there who wants to even just tell a friend, please do, because there's 3 women right here, all saying the exact same thing and all saying that, have we told you? Have I talked to you about this? Because maybe I didn't. And we should be knowing that we told our friends about these things. So for those listeners, side note there.
It's crazy how much, like, I don't want to interrupt you, Karla, I'll get you back on track, but how much, like, with that, you know, you're saying, I haven't told anybody this publicly, or I've not really told many people this, and how many people sit with that and say, I don't want to tell anybody this. And it's like shame for something that was not your fault. Mm-hmm. You know,
absolutely makes no sense. I mean, coming into that story, I said, like, in that moment, I was saying that I had made choices that I was not proud of.
Yeah.
Like, I was chemically imbalanced at the moment. Like I was drugged. I should not be. I like, if there's a moment in my life to be shameful of something that I did, that's an okay one to be. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. No control.
At the end of the day, I'm like, I was not of mind and sign of body. Okay. If I did something stupid in that time, all right. Mostly it was just I lost a really cute guy. Things happen, you know. That was really the loss of all of it, was the really cute guy.
Fair enough. Okay, so that was the start of your wellness journey. Was this happened and you got home safe, and then
I got home safe, and I stopped drinking for a while after that. Little while, not too long. Take breaks here and there for what that was. And it wasn't too far after that, within a couple weeks, that I took a little weekend for myself, actually my birthday weekend. And I just said, I'm just going to go out and have an experience by myself and just see what life tells me. And life told me to move. So I moved. And like within 2 months, I was gone. 3 months, I was gone. So I left and moved to BC. I moved in with my sister, and we were starting a float tank business in our house. So that was really the kickoff of my my wellness journey.
Can you say what kind of business again?
Float tanks.
What is it?
I love this.
What is it?
So float tanks are, or isolation tanks, isolation chambers, as they maybe have called. We've made the name a little bit more
beautiful.
safe sounding and yeah, a little bit more of what it actually is. So they are kind of, you can think of it like a big bathtub, somewhat of, not too much larger than an actual bathtub, but a bigger bathtub filled with about a foot of water and about 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. So you float on the surface like a cork would. It's actually a higher percentage of salt than the Dead Sea. Yeah, so it's beautiful for magnesium. It's beautiful for recovery of so many things within your body, and it's beautiful for your mind. And it's beautiful for mothers to be able to have quiet and darkness for 90 minutes. It was beautiful within my pregnancy. I was able to touch my toes and tie my shoes my entire pregnancy. Wonderful things like that. So yeah, my sister was starting a business with isolation tanks. And so I was moving in and I was helping her with that. And then I was actually working in a spa at the time as well. So I was learning about, different massages at this time and different, facials and different beauty products that can help with skins and things like this. I was learning about different essential oils. That was kind of a big start point for me there. And then my aunt as well. And I was just really dropped into this world of opportunities of wellness. Yeah.
Cool. And with the float tank business, you said it was home-based. So did your sister have other types of wellness stuff that she had going on at home, or was it just the float tanks at that time?
No, it's just been float tanks. So my sister was actually like a legal assistant. I probably got that actual term wrong. It was probably a lot more than just a legal assistant. We just call her the lawyer, but she didn't. Anyway, so she was working at a law firm beforehand, and then she, we built the business and did the research, and of course, it's a different industry to go into, and it's still fairly new, so regulations and stuff were still quite strange. So my sister went into diving into all of that and went into all of the schooling that she needed to, and did all of the amazing things that she does, and then originally they were looking for like a store base frontal place. It just didn't find anything that really sat with them. Them being her main business partner, and then I'm a partial business owner as well. And so then we talked about home base and found a house that suited both the business needs and personal needs, and moved in there, and moved back to Alberta actually just shortly after we moved into that space. So the opening, I was not actually living there for. I was there for the building of, and then it's really hard to have a baby in a float center. So I decided to come back to Alberta when I was pregnant, or when I had the baby then. So not only for that reason, but that's the more comical, fun reason to say.
I just wondered that question because like with the float tank, and then you're saying your aunt did essential oils, and that kind of got you into that world of things. The only outside of conversations with you, the only like knowledge I've ever had of float tanks is when I think I got like, it was like a bridal fair or something. I got like a free I don't even remember what it was. It was a free something at a wellness center. And I remember, I think I sat in a room and it was just like a free sit in a salt room. And it was like, I think is what it was.
Mhm.
And you just sit in a room that's got a piles of those like salt rock things in it, right? Yeah, like those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I walked by, I remember seeing a float tank in one of the rooms in there. That's the only time I'd ever known of one or heard of one until talking to you. And so whenever I think of float tanks and wellness, there's just this whole other aspect that goes into my brain from that, like sitting in this whole salt room. And like, if you're in that world, that kind of stuff makes sense to you. I was just going for a free thing. Like I knew nothing of what benefits of salt blocks or essential oils or float tanks or acupuncture even. Like I didn't know anything of any of those things. Like I'd heard of a chiropractor. So like this is a whole wild thing for me to be in this room. So that's what I picture when you talk about the float tank and that kind of room. So anyway, so it got you started on that journey with wellness, and then moved back to I don't know if it was Alberta or was Calgary right away that you came right back to? Yeah.
Yeah, back to Alberta. Yeah, actually, yeah, a lot of float centers. Just a side note there. A home base one, of course, there's smaller space, so smaller space means smaller rooms for things.
Mhm.
A lot of bigger spaces will have float tanks within a wellness center.
Mm.
So yeah, so there can be multiple different rooms. And yeah, I when you said that and you're like, it was a little don't know what all this is for. I remember when I was pregnant, we went and actually did some photos of pregnancy in float tanks. So we went to a different float center for this that had a better tank for photos and stuff. And I walked past the tank or the room that had the tuning forks and the sound therapy. And for me, that was my, what is that? What's in here? And really it was actually, that's a great segue into your next questions of how this could lead back in of when I came back to Alberta. That was my first glimpse of sound therapy, of seeing what sound therapy was. And now I use sound therapy. So, so that's why I say it's a nice segue into there. It can be a little overwhelming, some of this wellness stuff in first small steps. So yeah, we came back to Alberta and, yeah, kind of refound myself. It was interesting. I was back in my same bedroom that I was in high school. So, going back to me and Sammy's partying days, as we talked about earlier. And I was actually working the same job that I had at high school, which was McDonald's. So, I was feeling great about myself in this, right? When I came back, I put resumes out to everywhere, and opportunity of one came up and I took that one. So I was working the same job and in the same bedroom, and now with a son and as a single mom. And so I had this big realization of like, oh, okay. And it was like 10 years almost exactly later. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And ended up, kind of getting my feet under me again and moved, kind of as things settle with a move, especially from province to province and with a young child and infant and things at that point. And found a phenomenal job, and where I still work now. And that's where I met Melissa. So I found a wonderful job at Refresh Food and Drink here in High River. And that was even more of a deep dive into wellness for me. So, and I got to talk like a robot.
What do you mean you got to talk like a robot? Oh, when Thomas comes in, right?
Thomas,
yeah. Okay.
Thomas and Karla speak robot to each other.
I remember this now. Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot that you guys knew each other. I totally forgot that you guys knew each other.
That's how just going. And then we haven't seen you for a long time. So we must be like, well, and I guess before it was like Thomas wasn't in school, but yeah, we used to go in and Thomas would go and order his smoothie and speak in robot speak to Karla. And the first time I was like, dude. And then she turned around and started talking back to him in robot. And I was like, okay, this is very cool.
I feel like also, Melissa, we're off track here, but that's okay. I feel like you were telling me how Thomas met this really cool person that will speak to him like a robot at this store in High River. And I was like, what's her name? And you told me, and I was like, oh yeah, I know her. I feel like that happens often.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. All right. Anyways.
I really enjoy how I can be known for this.
Speaking like a robot? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. His goals in life complete.
You have nothing left to accomplish, Karla.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're done.
Checked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being there, did that just like really kind of solidify you on this wellness journey? Like, did that kind of really take your path and go like, because now you're like in the world of it?
Yes, yeah, I was really deep dive into the world of this, and still am, right? I'm there less now, now that I do my own business more full time, and I'm still able to be there as well, which is amazing because I love it. I love the environment. I love the job itself. I love and the opportunities that it comes with. So um, it was amazing. It was at times it's a little overwhelming, um, looking at it all, especially I think when we moved to the first store, moved locations here, I think I'm just settling out of the shock of like, this was a lot more of stuff to learn. And it's been amazing. I've been able to not only help my own wellness journey. I'm like, oh, really? This helps with this. This helps with this. I have so much of a more just delivered message of wellness to me from extremely knowledgeable people. So it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
I feel like it's really cool hearing from different people in, obviously this happens in all aspects of life, but like wellness specifically, how it slowly enters in like different pieces, right? Like for you, Carla, it was like, oh, float tanks are good for me. Okay, essential oils are good for me. Okay, exercise. And there's more to it. I don't know the order it went in for you, but little pieces that add in, right? I know for me, it was like, it started off as the gym. I should do the gym. And then it was like, okay, it's not, the gym's not enough. We need to talk about nutrients. Okay, so nutrients and how to nourish your body with food. Okay, that's important. And then it's like, okay, rest also very important. Oh, okay, actually, all these meditation also very, like all these things start popping in, and you build this little like what you need more or less of depending on who you are and how your body functions. And anyways, it's really cool hearing how it all creeps in for you and different people for that matter.
Hmm. Yeah, you beautifully just described the school of life. You get to
Yes.
take the classes when you choose, where you choose, and with whoever professor you choose.
Yeah, and different methods stick out to you. Okay, so that kind of, how did that lead you down further in a path? Like, what did working at that
Yeah.
job, how did that lead you?
So I was working this job, and I wasn't actually working it too long when COVID hit. And so that was an interesting twirl for everybody. And um, for myself, I think it became a lot of internet and social media to begin with, right off the bat. And I think it did for a lot of people. We were checking information, we were blah, 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 right? Checking with people, checking on our friends, connecting, whatever we were doing with just whatever we were doing, there was a lot of it. And as much as I did not like it and shut a bunch off after that, there was one part of it that I was very happy to find, and that was Reiki. So with that, I was a beautiful ad that came to me, and through social media, that sometimes those things are really, really nice. And I was able to take a full Reiki course within my budget and within my timeline and within my hours. And it was awesome. So I realized within that a lot about myself. It wasn't actually so much about me learning Reiki. It was me learning what these things were within me that I didn't know what they were. It was me learning what to name these things that I just already were doing. And there were so many times that, I already do that. That's what that's called. I do that. That's what that's called. And it's, there was a lot that I learned as well about different, the cultures and the religions and of course, all of that. But when it came to the actual practice of Reiki, I realized that, yes, I was already doing this. This was already within me because it is within all of us, And so I felt so at home. And then I dove deeper. And then I found sound therapy. And then I found a whole whack of modalities. So I have I have a diploma in tarot card reading. I am a Reiki master. The list goes on and on.
No, you need to finish the list though. What's the list?
Oh gosh, I really should, because like the amount of different like side nutrition things that I've taken and stuff too, it's ridiculous. But yeah, there's life coaching, sound therapy within there. It's yeah, a lot.
So you say you run your own business on top of your job. What what are the things that you actually are part of your business that you do? Is that all of those things? Is it only pieces of it? Like what is in there for you?
Yeah, so within the realm of my business, there's of course lots of different branches of the tree because, well, that we're people and we like to do different things sometimes. So I like to do different things and I like to explore and I like to find ways to help people. So when somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Karla, I got this thing going on and maybe I just need to tell you." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll just be here to listen." And maybe that's the medicine for you that day. And maybe there's something more. So when they talk to me and they say, "This is what's going on," we kind of take it personal. It's very personal and unique because I say, okay, if you're, if what I feel within the spirituality, a part of it, that you're needing sound or you're needing a plant medicine of some kind or you're needing a supplement of some kind, because I have all of those trainings too. I can go through a whole list of different aspects that can provide a different level of wellness rather than just helping on one spot.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I create courses, develop courses. I did specialize in sleep recovery for over a year for the first, pretty well the first year of the business and of me getting into things. And that was me sharing how I learned how to sleep, basically, from not being able to sleep and having horrific sleep issues that were life-threatening in some ways. And so I learned how to sleep and then I taught other people. And now all my clients were like, "I want to learn more about chakras. Can you teach me more about chakras?" Because of course, when I talk about the energy and I'm explaining to them how their energy is, and I talk about their different chakras, they were understanding it some and not fully what their chakras were all about. So now I'm developing chakra courses.
Cool. Okay, what is sleep recovery? What does that mean?
Yes. So I named it as sleep recovery because I felt like it was almost like an addict recovery. What I was working through with my sleep was the same as what I worked through with my addictions. The same experiences, the same emotions, the same shames, the same things. So I used the same somewhat methods and steps that you can use in recovery to help with sleep. And then with that, I was just saying our sleep issues are so on the surface. And so, yes, I can help you get to sleep faster or help with your sleep apnea and things like that. But rather than that, I actually usually get down to the deep root of the issue and we'll deal with that versus just working with the message that's coming. So why are we having issues with our sleep? Why are we having disconnections from our chakras? Why are we having these side effects? Really, they're just messages that our body is telling us that we don't know how to interpret. And that's where I come in as a, spiritual interpreter, if you will.
I was just gonna say you're like a body translator.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to put it, actually, because how it actually works, like when I'm doing it, because energy work, any person who does energy work, it's going to be different within them, right? And just the same as for each person who's receiving energy work, it's going to be different. Every time that you receive energy work, it's going to be different. So the way that I actually practice it and read people is how I, and have these messages come through is when, like, I feel it within my body in situations where it triggers me in what things happen in my life, and then it relates it to you. So it has me figure it out in how it shows it in my life, tells me how to ask the questions to you to figure out what story to go to or to what trauma that actually was there. For an example of this, actually, and I love sharing this story, I have a beautiful, beautiful young client who's working with some really harsh traumas around her father who abused her, and she's still quite young in age, and this is still quite recent. And her very first time coming to me, right from it was an evening session, and I think it was from around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I started feeling the energy, and I knew it was going to be a big one. And all I knew from her was her age, which I'm not going to release since I already said her. So I won't say that. But within teenage years and dealing with stuff. So at that point, I didn't know father things. And so I went for a walk and wanted to connect with nature, connect with the sounds of nature, connect with everything that I could with nature, because that really helps me to be able to connect with other humans better, right? And to connect with myself and things. So I go for this walk and I'm asking the universe, okay, what's needed in this session? What's needed for this person? What can I provide? And the whole time I was feeling some sharp pains in my back, my lower back, and the whole, like from 1 o'clock onwards. And throughout the walk, it moved into my left ankle. And I thought, okay, well, figured something out, I guess. And so in the session, I asked her, I had some pain today in my lower back. Would you know of anything that would have come about? I never said anything about the ankle at this point. I said lower back. And she said, I'm not sure about the lower back, but there was one time that I think it was a deep sprain in her ankle or something, just kid being kid thing. She had a deep sprain in her ankle and she asked her father to take her to the hospital, and he didn't for about 9 months. And it was broken or fractured the entire time kind of thing. And so, oh, okay. That's the drama that we're doing today. We get to heal from that today.
Wow.
Crazy.
I'm just like, God, I'm realizing that people are listening and not seeing. like what?
So yes, I enjoy that example as to what the work can actually do and how the work actually works, because it's hard to describe this work when you can't see something, when you can't hold something. We understand that everything has energy,
Yeah.
but when we can't see or touch it really, it's hard to actually know how it actually works.
Mhm.
So when people say, Karla, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't know yet for you, because it's a very personal thing. But that's a story how you can understand how it can be a translation of me doing your translation.
I remember there was a movie, I don't know what movie this was, but the person said, like, I believe something said, I'm gonna butcher the way it was worded, but it was like, I believe if I can see it and I can feel it, like that's the real stuff. And the person says, like, do you believe that love is real? Do you believe? And they listed like 3 different things that were like things that are only things you feel, like love, fear, something else. And they were like, then it was like, well, how do you know? Well, I can feel it. Same over here. I just feel it and you don't, like, or something like that. And it was just like, I remember hearing that. And it's like, yeah, like just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not real. Like not you, but like just because somebody else doesn't feel it and can't feel what you're feeling doesn't mean that it's not real. It's just you either don't want to or haven't learned how to or whatever, tap into those same things that somebody else can tap into.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we all, we all feel it to an extent. It's just a matter of how much we want to open that door.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think about, sorry, Melissa, do you want to say something?
No, I'm just like, this is just so cool. Keep going, Sammy.
I was just going to say, when you were talking about when you were taking your Reiki courses and being like, oh, that's what that's called. I do that. I remember, like, I think I told you this. I can't remember though, but I remember somebody in high school, like, said something that he learned from a therapist or something to help him get to sleep. And I heard him talking about it and I was like, oh, I'll try that too. And I did that same thing. And I remember then, this was like grade 10. And like, 10 years later, I was on a trip in Europe and the trip guy, the
Guide.
leader guide, thank you. I'm like, leader, what's the word here? Trip guide. was like, he meditated every day, and he was like going to lead a meditation session. Like we were in a camp, like beautiful, picture this. Okay. We're in the Swiss Alps camping, like in this big, and he was like, tomorrow morning, I'm doing like a meditation session if anybody wants to come. And I was like, I'm good. Thanks. And a bunch of people went. And then like later on a bus ride, because I was sitting there chatting with him, and he goes, how come you didn't want to come? Like, not in like an accusatory way, just like a curiosity. I was like, I don't know. I just don't, I'm not interested. Like, it doesn't have any interest to me. He's like, oh, okay. And I don't remember where the conversation was going, but then I described this thing that I do from trying to go to sleep that I learned from this kid in grade 10. And he was like, that's meditating. I was like, oh, well, all right. I guess I do it anyways. I just didn't know. So it's just one of those things, right? Sometimes we do things and we just don't have a name for them. And sometimes getting a name for them is helpful, and sometimes it doesn't really matter, but it kind of can, I think in some cases having a name for it helps you recognize it later, and then also recognize things that are connected to it too,
Yes.
right? Like when you're I'm guessing, right, when you're talking about chakras, like if meditation was one, right, like, oh, I do meditation, and like, okay, then if you're also meditating in this way, you could also do it in this way, and you're like, oh, and then it's an easier like guide in versus like just trying to grab it from somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, like that's a lot of what I do as well. When I say we personalize it, we work with you where you are, right? And it's, I love that because, yeah, actually, you talked about that story on my podcast too. So that's so funny that it came up. And it's amazing because it may have actually been that story or one of them, because there was a couple people that had the same somewhat of a story of realizing they did something without knowing it. And it got me realizing, oh, well, how many times have I asked my clients, like, where is your practice now, and having them realize it, right? And so it was so many beautiful things that I've been able to now show my clients, like, where are you right now? And they see so many things, you know. I love working with people's morning routines, right? A morning routine is dynamite for a good day, for a good week, for a good life in my mind. And so I was working with one client, and they were just so hard on themselves, thinking they were having, horrible morning routine, and it sucks, and it's never consistent, and it's just horrible, horrible, horrible. That's all they could say. And so I looked at them, I said, oh, so you have that app, right? That moon app that we talked about that one time, and you go on there and you like look at like what day it is, where the moon is, and you connect with your spirituality in that time. And there's a tarot card on that app. You know, the app has lots of things. It's called Moonly app, if anyone wants to know. Any listeners? I'm not sponsored. I wish I was. Moonly app, contact me. And so yeah, and they're like, well, yeah, I look at that every morning. It's the first thing I do. And okay. And so has there any days that you've missed that? Like if you have been on holidays, right? Or if the phone was accidentally dead and couldn't check the app, whatever. Well, yeah. Okay. And how did you feel then? Well, I mean, it was a weird day, but I guess I made it through. Okay. So you have this morning practice and you miss it one day and you can make it through. You're trying to gain more of a morning practice and you miss it one day and you think it's horrible. And they went, oh, I guess I don't have to feel bad anymore. I said, I guess you don't. And they took that control back.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And the next day they did the entire list. I'll continue that too. The next day they did their entire list that they wanted to do.
Sometimes we just need that positive, like, you are doing this, to be like, oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah. So Karla, tell us, what's your morning routine like?
My morning routine starts with meditation. I don't even get out of bed. I reach over and I grab some kind of plant medicine of some kind. Oils are really nice in that way because it's not like it's an actual plant that's going bad on your counter if there's a plant that's going bad. But yeah, I grab a bottle of oil and I smell that, and then I connect with my body, and then I try to get up and place my feet on different parts of my floor every day. When I step up, I try not to step in the same spot. And then I drink a glass of water.
Ew.
And
Wait, why?
so I first heard it on a Roll Rich podcast, and I can't remember if it was him or a guest now. They were people that they were on Earth when they were waking up, and they were a lot cooler than me on, the floor. But I enjoyed the aspect of not having a routine, like not having the exact same routine exactly when you wake up, like not falling into that routine exactly waking when you wake up. You have control over where you're waking up and where you're placing your feet for when you ground.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was curious about that. Keep going.
Yeah,
No, I was
absolutely.
gonna-
The intention, right? The intention of why we do these things. So yeah, as I step down and in a different spot, and I mean, yeah, so I crawl over to different parts of my bed and I just kind of get down on different, get off on different spots. And of course, your bed's only so big, so I can only get off on so many different spots between the week, right? But and yeah, I really truly step down, and it brings my awareness and my intention into that moment so much deeper. It brings all of that in. So as I'm stepping down, my intention is just fully, here I am, present in this moment on this earth today. And it's not the same spot as yesterday, because I'm not in the same spot as yesterday. I'm in a new spot today. And then I drink water.
How long is your meditation typically?
That can average. I like to give myself an hour of time. Whether it's always needed for meditation or not is there, but I like to. I have time anxiety really bad. Do y'all suffer from time anxiety?
What does that mean?
Like, I have so much like anxiety over getting to somewhere on time, or like if am I going to be late for something, right? And especially in the morning times. Nobody likes to be late in the mornings, right? If you end up waking up late, that's just a crappy day, right? So if I end up making my meditation way too long, I used to try to just do like a 15 minutes. And then sometimes I would want an hour, and then I would be really late for things. So then I said, well, why don't I just give myself an hour? And then if I only want 15, I just have 15. So now I do that.
So do you have an alarm that wakes you up in the morning that starts your day, like
Yes.
pre-meditation? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you give
Yeah.
yourself an hour time frame to allow for an hour of meditation, and then you get up out of bed.
Yeah, like I'm not in the bed for that whole hour, I would say, unless I'm I usually do, sorry, I should specify my first little meditation is just like a 5-minute body meditation to connect with myself.
Okay.
Just to kind of connect in, and then I ground, and then I drink my water, and then I go into a full hour meditation.
Okay.
Sorry, I should do a prep. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's what I was wondering is.
Or 15 or whatever. Yeah, at that time.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever
Okay.
get interrupted by your son when you're meditating?
Yes. And
How
this
do
was
you
a big
navigate
thing
that?
of why I wanted to do like sleep recovery. So yeah, my kiddo loves cuddles. And my kiddo loves, when he was younger, especially, when he would wake up, he would come into my room, as many young children do. And it was always at a time when it was like, okay, well, if I even try to get up and try to put you back to sleep in your bed, like we're like an hour and a half before we get up, just stay, right? Like just stay. So that was when I started to do a meditation in my bed, because he would be sleeping beside me. And if I got up and tried to like do anything, he would get up. But if I could lay still, he could still sleep and get his full rest that I knew he needed. So what can I do while I am being still and allowing him to rest with still being in the bed? Okay, well, I can meditate. So I started meditating in the morning for that, and yeah, it grew.
That's awesome. I
That's
love
awesome.
that. I'm so inspired by you, Karla, because I love how like it seems like hearing you speak, it's like anytime you're like, oh, I'm curious about that. Now I'm going to deep dive into it. Now I'm taking a course, and now I'm going to help other people learn it too. Like that is so cool. It's so cool because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm kind of curious about that," and then moving right along. Or I'm curious about that. Maybe I'll learn a little bit, but like you're taking the courses, you're doing the work, you're like all in.
Okay,
I
so Melissa, I've had car issues for 2 months and I've been researching mechanic courses.
No, you haven't. Oh, I love it.
Like,
So
well, at this point,
add mechanic to the list.
Can you imagine Reiki, life coach, well,
sound therapy,
sound therapy,
tarot card readings, and
car
mechanic.
mechanic.
I need to see this on a business card.
Absolutely. We need a business card. We need the business card. Carla, if you get a car mechanics thing, we will buy you business cards that say all of these things.
I love it. It's so
Yeah.
cool because it's just so like it just speaks to like you're clearly passionate about learning and passionate about doing what is best for you and also just helping others. I mean, like you're clearly passionate about helping others. I think that's or you wouldn't be able to connect with people like that if you weren't, you know? I think that's just really remarkable that you do that. So are you full time in this business now?
I am. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that's why
Yes,
haven't
I
seen
still do
you.
odd jobs and odd things, to get the money flow and keep keep kids' shoes. Man, why do their feet have to grow so fast, right? So every parent needs a second job just for kids' shoes.
So how do people find you?
Well, you can find me really just on the website, karlaturner.ca. Karla is spelled with a K. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at karlaturner.holisticwellness. And the podcast is at The Answer is Elephant. And it's on all major podcast platforms.
And do you normally speak just for people listening? Are you the answer is elephant? Is it normally about wellness?
Yes. Yes. I find wellness in everything. So, yeah, the podcast became through COVID and through a conversation through somebody who Sammi and I graduated with, Tyrone Morales, who, if he hasn't been on your podcast yet, that's a soul that's happy, that's for sure. And it was just, yeah, connecting, right? How do we connect with people? How are we staying connected with people? What people are we really, truly wanting to connect with? How are we wanting to spend our energies with these people? And I came home that day and started writing a paper on connections. And then I said, I love how you were like, you're passionate about learning. I'm like, oh, learning. But yes, learning. But the way that we think about learning in like a school aspect, that makes me go, ugh, learning. And so it was, yeah, I came home and was writing a paper on connections and was like, I don't like writing. I don't like what am I doing? I just need to get this out more. And so I thought I should just start a podcast and just do the connecting thing.
Oh my gosh.
So I did that.
I freaking love it. I freaking love how you go about life. I do. It's so cool. Hey, what's this? I'm going to learn about it. Hey, I'm going to do it. Hey, I'm all in.
Karla, how did you come up with the name The Answer is Elephant for your podcast?
Yeah, so this has been this story goes back to high school too. I'm going to take a sip of my elixir here. It's more reishi-y. So back in high school with like first jobs for people, and throughout my years, I've always been kind of fallen into a trainer category with any job that I had. I connect with people easily, so it's easy for me to train them and connect with them and help them learn how to do something. So it's a natural thing. And so then naturally I train people in courses and train people in that. So, and so for people's, usually their first jobs a lot of times. And if somebody was brave enough to have a question, say, I have a question, or just elephant. What? No, my answer is elephant. And it would just, okay. No, I'm not serious. What's your question? Like, and it would just break the ice and we could laugh about it and then they could ask their question and it would just let the nerves settle. And it was just this weird little thing that I do. And I don't know how it ever actually blurted out. I haven't found that moment yet. When I come across it, I'm going to be so excited when I'm like, this was the moment when I first said it. So yeah, and I've always just kind of stuck with it. It's just a comical thing. And when people say it, it turned into not just the first job thing. It just turned into when people said, hey, I got a question, elephant. Just why not? And then I always just said it was going to be my $1 million answer. Like it was, so yeah, when I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that's going to be the $1 million question. And it's going to be out. Yeah.
You know what? When you go on it, there's going to be a question and there's going to be 4 answers and none of them, the answer is going to be elephant. And you're going to be like, no, the answer is elephant. Your options are wrong. The answer is elephant. And then there's going to be something that proves that the answer is in fact elephant.
Right.
Oh, I love
the show
it.
even on though anymore?
I don't know. Okay. So
Sounds like a whole bunch of 90s kids right now. People are like, what the hell are they talking about?
Anybody got a rotary phone?
We had to dial our internet up to get onto this Zoom call.
Absolutely. We need the dial-up sounds. That should be our rolling. Karla, if you had to send one message out to maybe think of a client right now and you had to send one message out to that bedtime alarm, it's bedtime. If you had to send one message out to a client right now, or just the general population, a message of wellness, a message of taking care of themselves, like what would that message be? What comes to your heart?
I love all your questions. You ladies are amazing. Trust. Trust is really hard for people. And
Keep going. We'll tell you after. Keep going. Sorry.
I love you guys. No, I love it. Yeah, trust is really hard for people. And people have a really hard time trusting within themselves, trusting within their bodies, trusting what their bodies are capable of, trusting what their minds are capable of. And it brings me joy when I can see people smile on their faces when they realize that. And when they can, my podcast and now it's kind of grown in, and I say now it's turned into this. I talk to people that are happy for no reason, the people that are, life is given things for them and it just really doesn't seem fun or fair or anything. And they're still happy, and it's how I want to talk to you more, those are the people that I like to talk to. And then I started realizing that I am that person. I am that person. Because when people are like, wow, your life's kind of dealing with car issues for 2 months now. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm just going to take a mechanic course over here now. And it's not happy every day, but it's the finding the joys in those little moments and trusting that joy is there is such a beautiful way to live.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. That's the reason we were chuckling back here. Melissa, you go.
Karla, have you been listening to our podcast?
I mean, in some, I feel
that wasn't a challenge. That wasn't.
What the heck just happened? Karla, my word of the year is trust.
I was
like, you said it. I was like,
I did know that. I did hear that.
Like, what? How did she just say that?
It's just been ironic because the last interview we just did too, it was like the whatever topic the girl was talking about, Melissa's like, oh my God, you're speaking to my life right now. And so it's happened 2 or 3 times in a row where Melissa's like, hold the phone.
What is happening? It's so wild. I was like, I had to mute my thing. I was like, oh. So good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, Karla, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your wellness journey with us. And your finishing advice there was so powerful. And there's just so many things and so many words of wisdom that I feel like people are going to take away from just listening to you chat about, just the wellness journey that you went on, because sharing your story empowers other people. So Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on here today, Karla.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. This was such a joy, and I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to have both of you on my podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. To help support the growth of this podcast, please feel free to leave us a review, follow us on socials, or recommend us to your friends. Your support honestly means the world to us. With love, Sammi and Melissa.